Great day, attractive thinkers and visionaries around the world. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. I'm so excited to be back here with you, with my co-host Tichet Bradshaw. Tichet, welcome to another.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We made it with so much power. Take the opportunity this week to do what you've never done, to go where you've never gone, have all that you deserve to have. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. I already know you have your Attractive Thinker notebooks handy and you're ready to capture these gems because we will be dropping them today. I want to thank all of our subscribers on our Beyond the Break YouTube channel, Beyond the Break 2020 YouTube channel. I want to thank all of the attractive thinkers and visionaries around the world who clicked the like button because you liked it, who clicked that share button and shared it with your circle of influence because you felt as though this message was a very impactful message and that could bring about change in the lives of your circle and your family and friends. So I just want to congratulate you and thank you and let you know that we see you out there. Thank you for the comments. We love comments. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for sharing how these messages are impacting your life. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. What do we do there? We support new and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to write a book or launch a business idea. We provide mental tools for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance. Why mindset maintenance? Because your mind needs constant care. It needs maintenance every single day. It needs to be steered in the direction of your goals every single day, or you will forget, out of sight, out of mind. And when you're not pursuing your goals and you forget, then you're pulled back into the comfort zone and life as it was or the way things used to be, meaning you're now in a position of not being an author or not being an entrepreneur or business owner. Because when you have these ideas and desires, you need to be supported. You need to be, and the attractive thinker experience, let me bring that up while I'm talking. The attractive thinker experience on Amazon will give you that kind of support. When I say you need to be supported, the mind needs to be supported. It needs to be constantly propped up so that you don't forget. So you always remember what your goal is and why you woke up this morning, what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not distracted by the phone and the email and other people's drama and, running here and there. You're steering your focus as an attractive thinker and visionary. That's what we do. We are in control of our power because there's a power attached to your focus. When you focus on something, and I posted it this week to share on my social media pages. Somebody asked me, they said, Toni, how do you do what you do? And I said to them that determination is a power. It is an actual force. And if you don't have determination, you don't have any power. So you could be trying to pursue a goal or starting and stopping and pursuing it, picking it up and putting it down because you lack the power. If you want power to accomplish your goals in life, then you're going to have to activate determination. Because determination is a power to help you get things done. It will help you get things done through the storm, through the rain, through the snow, when you have support and you don't have support, when you're happy and when you're not happy, when you're encouraged and when you're discouraged, when you're determined. See, determination doesn't consider all of these distractions. Determination its focus is locked in on the goal. You said you wanted to become an author, you wanted to write a book. Determination is steering your focus right there. And it's a power. That power is not so that just so that you can finish your book. That power is so that you have the strength to diminish distractions. So that you have the strength to say no when you're supposed to say no, and the strength to say yes when you're supposed to say yes, and not feel guilty about it. These are critical tools that we share on Beyond the Break to support you in moving forward in a joyful, happy, easy way. Today, we're going to be talking about a perfect mistake. A perfect mistake. Write that down in your attractive thinker notebook because this is about to get good. A perfect mistake. Tichet, I'm going to let you introduce this topic because you have firsthand experience in having a perfect mistake. And I'm not even going to add to it and give the attractive thinker generation and the visionaries any aspect about it because I don't want you to think about it in one way or the other. I want you to hear Tishet's firsthand experience with the perfect mistake.
Absolutely. The reason why we came up with Perfect Mistake, I am also Diamond Mind of DIY. I do DIYs on Instagram, Diamond Mind of DIY, right? And as I was doing the DIY, which really is a passion, a new passion for me, I was doing a particular DIY and I had a idea in mind, right? And as I had an idea in mind, you start going through the idea, and things happen. The I was making a lantern, and the lantern broke,
Mm,
right? And so I had an idea in mind. Now, as I'm talking, I want you to comb this through all of your life. So when I say I had an idea in mind, think of all the ideas you have in mind about life, the idea of your business, the idea of your relationship, the ideas of your home, the idea of what you think life is supposed to be, right? So don't just take it on the surface, right? So I had an idea in mind of a project I wanted to do, which was a lantern. And as I was doing the lantern, as I was, trying to clean up and do some stuff, I knocked it over and the vase broke.
mm,
Okay. When the vase broke, and you'll see on the picture here, as the vase broke, it shattered into pieces, and my heart broke with it, right? Because I had an
mm,
intention and I thought it was over, and I was like, okay, I was so disappointed. And honestly, I went upstairs and laid down, Dr. Toni, because I was like, you know what, I had enough. Why? Because I had just finished putting my heart into so many tedious parts of that vase, and I thought I was getting somewhere,
mm,
right? I thought I was getting somewhere. Things seemed like it was going okay. And then boom, out of nowhere, it just happened to break, right? And so as it broke, and you the first thing you think about is, can I recover it?
mm,
And so when I looked at it and you see how many broken pieces this had, I
mm,
could not recover that. So, we start to brainstorm, okay, how can I save this? Sometimes when certain things break, you might not be able to save that particular thing.
mm,
If you allow yourself to not give up on your journey, there is another option,
mm,
right? And
mm,
so I went upstairs and I thought about something that I told my daughter. I tell my daughter, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Now I'm thinking all of this while I'm in my room, right? Because I wanted to put myself in timeout. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, you know what? I'm done. You can find me in a corner. That's basically what I said, right? So I said, well, I gotta. If what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, right? So I um. I always tell my daughter when she makes a mistake, number one, not to judge yourself, not to beat up on yourself, but really make sure you have the right perception of the mistake that you made or whatever broke your heart,
mm,
right? And I
mm,
say you cannot be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. That's how we learn. It's how we clean up the mistakes that matter. So I told her, go out there, mess up big, have fun messing up. It's how you clean it up that makes the biggest difference, right? And
mm,
so just think about what mistake you feel like you made in life. What mistake broke your heart? Things might have been going good in a relationship, and then all of a sudden it broke.
mm,
Things might have been going great on a job, and all of a sudden it broke, or in the business, all of a sudden it broke, or in a family relationship. You can think of many areas where this fit. It broke, and when you looked at it, it did not seem salvageable.
mm,
So you're like, okay, what do I need to do? Because clearly I can't pick up the pieces of this. This is shattered into too many pieces, right?
mm,
But you never think that there's another option. The first option is never giving up. I am not going to give up. I will have what I envision. I will have the life that I desire to have. I will have the relationship that I desire to have. I will love myself in a way that I desire to be loved. The what I wanted does matter, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving it up because this broke. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just have to do, if it broke in that, you might have to start again, have the ability to start again with, you still have the same intention in mind. Okay, I'm gonna build a lantern, but you're more
Mm-hmm.
open to the fact that mistakes can happen and seeing if you can take those mistakes and do something different. So I did that. I said, okay, it's a mistake. Okay, I can't sit here and sit in it. I can't sit here and wallow in it and swim in the pool of disappointment. I can't do that because that's taking away the time of my life. Right? We are very strategic about how we spend the time in our life because that's our currency, right? So the last thing we want to do is allow ourselves to go day by day by day sitting in a pool of disappointment because something didn't work out the way we wanted it to. And so I allowed myself to process it. I allowed myself to cry my tears. And then I went back to my workstation and I said, okay, what I can do is start again with a different glass. So I went to find a replacement. It was like a lantern, one of them old school oil lamps, right? And I was making the top of it, and it was supposed to be a lantern that had a bowl underneath, right? And so I was like, okay, let me find a replacement for the oil lamp. Now, mind you, I had another oil lamp that was similar because it was supposed to be a pair with two lamps. So it was supposed to be two lanterns, the same size, the same light, the same color, matching each other on each side of what I thought was going to be the centerpiece table, right? Um, it was supposed to accentuate the centerpieces I already have on the table. That's the idea I had. And so I end up looking for the replacement piece so that I can do them both at the same time. Instead of doing them both at the same time, I went to a store that I love, right? The mistake caused me to be able to go to the store that I love because when you're looking for something and you want something, you know where to go get that. You know that there's other options out there when you get done feeling like it's not going to work, you go look for those options. So I end up going to a store that I love, and in the midst of going to the store that I love, I found the replacement of the oil lamp top, and you can see the shape of it, right? I found the replacement. um Not only did I find a replacement, but I found four other projects that
Mm-hmm.
I'm now excited about. Had I not broke that lamp, I would not have found the other four projects. I would have been home with just those lanterns. So I found some things that made it almost worthwhile that it broke, right? And so then I came home and I started to do the project again. Now, even though I had in mind what I wanted it to look like, I still was open. So I go and I do the project, and I'm doing the glitter. If anybody know this, my hands shake really bad. And on Diamond Mine, I say these shaking hands can create amazing things. That's one of the things I always say. These shaking hands create everything. My hands will shake. So I'm doing the glitter on the what's supposed to be the see-through lantern, and my hands shake and glitter everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I go to clean up the glitter, and the glitter is everywhere. So I make yet another mistake. At this time, I'm not disappointed with that mistake because I'm having fun at this point, right? I'm just happy to be creating. So I got glitter all over myself, but I keep going. So sometimes you're going to make a mess on yourself, but you got to keep going. Sometimes while you're in the midst of creating the life and the things that you want, after something broke and happened and you're starting again, sometimes you're going to find yourself in situations where things might appear to be messy, but you got to keep going, right? As long as you are going in the right direction. And so when I shook the glitter, I shook too much glitter on the actual vase. And so the vase ends up, I mean, on the actual oil lamp part, right? So then it was no longer see-through, so I had to turn the lantern into a vase. So going forward, this lantern is a glitter. It's looking good, right? And I'm like, okay, that was a good mistake because you can make some good mistakes. That was a good mistake. Okay, I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm not gonna start over because it does not have to be perfect. And so I kept going with it and putting all the other stuff. So this is what it turned out at. I want you to look at this picture. This is a vase now. This is my diamond, my creation. This is my passion. This is the perfect mistake. Had it not broken, I would not have came up with this, right? And this is now going to be something I'm going to be creating for sale. It's not in the store yet, but I'll keep you guys posted if you want to see it. But for now, you can look at all of my creations on Diamond Mind of DIY on Instagram. Anyway, with that said, this right here was the outcome I didn't know that I could do. This right here came with so many ups and downs, but the fun of it in creating it all together surprised me, right? And so I called it the perfect mistake. So what I was thinking about was, what mistake in life did I make that ends up turning out better? You know how we always talk about turning our pain into power.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we mean. We mean taking something that broke you, having a different perspective, picking yourself up, and going forward to make that pain count. Remember, Dr. Toni always say, if it has to hurt, it has to count. You make that pain count. So I end up going and getting more than what I bargained for because I wasn't willing to give up. So you see how the power of not giving up works? This is just a physical representation of that. But if you comb this through your entire life, how many times have you gotten fired from a job and end up with a business? What if that's possible? Right? How many times did you get dumped in a relationship to end up with somebody you really love? Or if you're being dumped now and you're feeling like you're in a break and you don't give up, what if the one that really loves you is out here waiting for you? What if what you just went through had to break in order for you to access more? In order for you to access greatness? We talk about all the time going from good to great. That lamp I had in mind was good, but you got to tell me this is great, right?
Mm-hmm.
That lantern I had in mind, it was good, but it was nothing like this perfect mistake going on right here. And so what perfect mistake is out here waiting for you with what you felt broke? When you live beyond the break, you allow all of your pain to contribute to your purpose, right? Like a butterfly, all the stripes and the beauty that we see on the butterfly, that you go oohs and ahs, look at all of the lines and the dots, all that stuff is built in a cocoon. Those lines represents the different processes that the butterfly had to go through while it was in a place of stuck, in a place of darkness, in a place of where it was most vulnerable to prey, in a place of the cocoon where they had to transform from one thing to another. That's what all those stripes. So it contributes to the purpose of the butterfly. It contributes to the beauty of the butterfly. So can your mistake contribute to the beauty of you? And it doesn't have to be your mistake. It could be any mistake. You know, what can you do with what broke you? The relationships that you have, whether it be a spouse or family that broke you, could it be moving out the way so that you can build relationships with the one that will help you build, with ones that will help you gain and grow? We deserve that. Don't you think? Don't you think we deserve relationships that help us grow, relationships that is healthy? Don't you think we deserve businesses that make us feel alive, or jobs that make us feel like it's worth living? Don't you think we deserve homes that represents us, and homes that when we go in it, it just, you almost don't want to go nowhere because it's so gorgeous, right? Don't we deserve that? Don't we deserve to be at peace and be respected? Don't we deserve to have the desires of our heart manifested? Don't we deserve to be happy? and
Mm-hmm.
joyful and healthy and peaceful. Don't we deserve that with our powerful selves?
Mm.
So why would we say no to it because of one mistake? We
Mm.
have to be willing to let our decisions matter, let it count. If it had to break, it had to count. Allow yourself and everything that you went through to be part of your perfect mistake. Maybe life did not look the way you thought it was going to look. Maybe you didn't write the perfect story. Dr. Toni, one of the things I said a couple years ago when I was on this transformation journey, I said that I was trying to build a life of perfection, but it was external, right? I said, this, if I had my way, this is how the story would have went. I
Mm-hmm.
was born. I was in a loving family. I grew up. I went to school, graduated. I went to college. I graduated. I got my PhD. I got my master's degree, PhD. I went and got a six-figure job or a six-figure job at the time. This is what I was thinking, a six-figure job. And then I got married. I got a husband who loved me. I had two kids and a dog and a cat. And I had a house that was really pretty, that had this, that, and the other, like that Donna Reed kind of thing with the white picket fence, that perfect American dream that they painted us. And then we walked off in the sunset with each other and lived happily ever after. The end. And then I died, right? I
Mm.
died of natural causes in my sleep. That's all I had at the time, right?
Mm.
Again, I was in depression. There was so much more in store than just that, right? But as I began to grow through my life, my story wasn't being written like that.
Mm.
It didn't account for being pulled out of school. It didn't account for losing a child. It didn't account for losing your home and going through a divorce. It didn't account for losing your job and feeling less than and going through depression. It didn't account for all the heartbreaks and the disappointments and the negative self-talk and downing yourself and feeling less about yourself, feeling inferior and watching everybody else walk around like they superior. It
Mm.
didn't none of that. I didn't see any of that, right? But it happened.
Yeah.
And that's why we say life happens, right? Sometimes it does not look the way you look.
Yeah.
But in the stage that I'm in my life, in this beautiful stage, I realize my story is a lot greater than it is because of all that I had to overcome and
Mm-hmm.
everything that I became in the midst of it. This powerful being that I see every day, I didn't know was there until after the break when I was just trying to heal. All I was trying to do was heal. Passions were exposed, and different parts of me was exposed, and things I wanted to do, and creating a business out of passion.
Mm.
Um, in a relationship where I'm loved and respected and cherished and nourished, dealing with people, my support group is strong, right? I had to let the old people go in order to have the strong support system I have now, right? Because you have to be willing to let go of who does not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if y'all been friends since you was 10.
Mm.
If they don't support you, you got to be willing to walk away and let them go where they can live the way they want to live and be free, and you live the way you want to live and be free. But one thing you have a right is to one thing you have is a right to be free, to be respected, to be loved, to be nurtured, and to be cherished
Mm-hmm.
as God would have done for you, right? But sometimes that means walking away from people who refuse to see the value in you, who refuse to do that. And so, looking at my life now, that old story was missing a whole lot of power. I'm like, I graduated, got married, and then died. That's all. That's all. That's all that was. And look, at the time when I was going through it, Dr. Toni, I said I didn't ask for much,
Mm-hmm.
but much was calling me.
That's good.
I didn't ask for much, but much was calling me. Greatness was calling me, so I couldn't settle for the good story that I want. Greatness was calling me, and now I get to give that greatness every day, and so can the rest of us. If
Mm,
you're a visionary, greatness calls you every
mm.
single day. Rather you know it or not, it's there. You can't even get rid of it. Rather you know it or not, greatness is right there at your fingertips. You got the whole world ahead of you. Why would we settle for anything less than what we deserve? Why would we settle? And
Mm.
so we have to allow ourselves to let the break push us to learning how to live life beyond the break so that you can live the greatness that you were called to live. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
So phenomenal to shed. I was copying down, writing down some lessons, tips, gems. I was capturing gems as you were talking, and I want to share them with the attractive thinker generation and the visionaries. I trust that you're capturing your own gems in your attractive thinker notebook. But one of the things that stood out to me to shed was I wanted to really zone in and clarify a mistake, what we deem as a mistake, something that we didn't intend to happen, something that happens unexpectedly as a result of something we did or said or thought or whatever. It's just something that it was just off of our radar. We never anticipated. It's something we did not anticipate. And to shed, do me a favor, because I didn't look up the definition of a mistake while you're talking. Can you look up that definition? But what these gems that I want us to really pay attention to is when we call something a mistake, like, dang it, I made a mistake, or I didn't mean for that to happen, or I wish that hadn't happened, or maybe I should have said it this way or that way. And you live, for years with that pain and that regret, and still that tape running in your mind over and over and over. If I had just did it this way, or if I had just said that, or if I just wouldn't say this, maybe if I had just stayed quiet, maybe if I just don't say anything the next time, then this or that or the other wouldn't have happened. Or you live with the regret of the mistake, constantly viewing the same experience as a mistake. What if it's not? What if it wasn't a mistake? What if it was divine power taking over and using what you started to create to make it something grander? That maybe the vase breaking to share, because see, that's what you said, and I wrote it down. You said, so the lamp broke, the project you were working on, and you also said you went to the store and you found some other things that you had ideas for projects for as well. And when you said that, I thought to myself, if that vase had never broke, you would never have gone to the store, and you would have never found those other ideas for those projects that you wanted to work on. So sometimes in our lives, things break to steer direction. Things break to make your good greater. You know, it's like, okay, I see you sitting here, you got your little tools together, you got all your little parts and pieces, but what you're working on has more potential. It could be grander than the idea that you started with. So let me cause a disruption. Let me break your focus. See, that's what really broke your focus. That's what really broke. And distractions come to break our focus. But sometimes when we experience a perfect mistake, it's to break the pattern and the idea, your plan, to break your plan and open you up to a greater plan. And the attractive thinker generation and visionaries already know. When you look back, we always talk about hindsight being 2020. You automatically know that the idea that you had and the idea that you developed after the breaking are two different ideas. They're two different outcomes. They're two different results, two different accomplishments. You're two different people. The person that I was before my breaking and the person I am now, two different people. But if I hadn't had the breaking, would I have ever been able to reach that person? Would I have ever been able to grow into that kind of a person? This person. Because I didn't have the attractive thinker on my mind prior to my breaking. I didn't know what vision and mindset was prior to my breaking. But the breaking steered me off. It took me off the path I was on and placed me on a whole other path. And this path was more rewarding and more enriched than the path that I was on. So you said the second mistake was the glitter. So not only did you have quote unquote one, you experienced one mistake, but there was a second mistake after that. So I wanted to highlight that because sometimes we get to points in our lives we say, well, I've already had my pain, or I've already experienced my defining moment, or can't nothing else happen because everything that could have happened have already happened. You got to be open. Listen, attractive thinkers and visionaries have a different perspective of life experiences. We don't view things like most people view them. You have to understand that as an attractive thinker and a visionary, you're different. Yes, you could be experienced. We all live in this universe, the same world, but we don't all experience it the same way. What's devastating to one can be hopeful to the next.
Mm-hmm.
What's the end to one person can be the beginning for another person. How can that be? It's called perspective. How you view a thing determines everything. You said you get to a place where as things appear messy, but you've got to keep going. You said sometimes in our lives, we get to a place where things appear messy. You can't allow the mess to cause you to stop. You know why we allow the mess to cause us to stop, to shed? Is because that's the perspective that we have. All we see is the mess. We
Yes.
don't see what could become of the mess when we put our power to it, when we put
Yes.
our hands to it, when we put our ideas and creativity to it. And then you also get stuck in the perception that, or the belief that, well, so and so said they tried it and it didn't work for them. So what makes you think it won't work for you just because it didn't work for the next person? The next person may not have the kind of power that you have. I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations where people were trying to do, I don't care if it's trying to screw a hole in the wall. I don't care if it's trying to turn the table around, or trying to make something out of nothing, or trying to open up a closed door, or walking away because somebody said no. I said, no, 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 no. I can't tell you how many times I was able to pursue the same thing, and they'll say, oh, Toni, we already tried. The issue is you tried. You didn't give me a chance to try. We're two different people coming with two different powers. You tried, now let me try. And most of the time, to shed 9 times out of 10, with a different perspective. See, you tried and you saw it as a problem. I tried it and saw it as a solution. You tried it and didn't know who you were. I tried it and I know who I come with power. You tried it and felt inferior. I tried it and knew I was superior. That's two different energies. And Tichet, we talked about that earlier today, how two people can be taking the same action. One gets the result and the other doesn't. I mean, the exact same action. One gets the result and the other doesn't. It's because one is totally sold out to making it happen, and the other one was just going to try and see what would happen. That's because we don't know who we are. When you're going to pursue something, I shared this in some of our other episodes. It's a famous line around here. When my kids are looking for things, I said, no, we're not going to see if we can find it. We're going to get it. So we were at the movie theater as a family, and I have this habit since they were babies, because when you pull out of places, you're leaving the park or you're leaving school, whatever, and you get home, you realize the baby lost the pacifier, one of their shoes are missing, something fell out the diaper bag, or they left their notebook on the bench. So when we get up, even today as grown people, when we get up, we always turn around and look back. We always turn around and look back, because you never know what fell out of your pocket or what you left and didn't know you took out, things like that. So we're at the movie theater and we got up, everybody got in the car, and my son said, oh my God, my phone. We hadn't even pulled out the parking space yet. I said, get out, go in there and get your phone. So he got out, and a couple of them got out the car, and they were in there for a few minutes, and then when they came back, you could look on the countenance of people's faces and determine before they get to the car whether they found the phone or not. So I said to myself, it looks like they didn't find it. So he got in the car, he was like, it's not there, it's gone. So I got out, and they was like, Mom, we already looked, the phone is not there, we looked everywhere, the phone is not there. I said, okay, but let me look. I went in and I came back to the car, And I acted like I didn't find it. And I just sat in the front seat and I took the phone out and handed it over my shoulder to the kid in the back. And everybody went crazy. How did you do that? We looked everywhere. Da da da. I said, I always told y'all there are two ways to do things, two perspectives to have. You don't go and see if you can find your phone. Let me go in here and see if I can find my phone. You go in there to get your phone. You knew you had your phone when you were in there. The phone didn't go anywhere because you know when you leave a theater, sometimes if time passes, the people come in and they clean it, or another movie starts and people sitting down. It wasn't that kind of time. We immediately knew the phone was missing. We just got up out the seat. The phone has to be where you left it. So here's the deal, Tichet. They may have looked under the chair, or even behind the chair, but I took my phone light and I looked where they looked, but I also took my light and looked up under the chair, under the back of the chair. There was a whole ledge that goes across the whole theater, right behind the chair. And there was his phone laying on the ledge. So when it fell, but it didn't hit the floor. It fell on something on the ledge. And I told him that when you're going to get something, make sure you get it. That means you have to do everything. You got to think outside the box sometimes and think thoughts that you wouldn't normally think if you're looking for something. And that same lesson, you can apply it to life. Tichet, so many times I had to remind my mind that all things already exist, that all things are possible. There is no I'm going to see if, or I'll try, or maybe. It exists. Do you want it or don't you? Are you going to get it, or are you going to go and see if you can get it? See, that's two different perspectives. When you have that determination, that's the power that gives you access to the thing. You don't have no determination, that door is closed to you. You know what happened, what it looks like when a person doesn't have determination? They can get it or they don't have to have it, and it doesn't faze them either way. Well, it can happen or it doesn't have to happen. It's okay. You're not going to get anything that way. You're not going to get anywhere that way. You have to be intentionally determined. You got to be strategic. You got to be clear on what you want, and then have your mind made up. A made up mind leaves no room for distractions. A made up mind leaves no room for excuses. A made up mind, like you said, now here's the deal, you had a made up mind, Tichet. You know why I say that? Because when the vase broke, the average person, the average mind, would have just swept up the pieces and threw it in the trash. You didn't do that. That right there is an indication of the mind that you have. Your business is called Diamond Mind. It is a diamond mind. It's a fortified mind. You knew immediately, because your first response wasn't to throw it in the trash. You left it there. You removed yourself from the situation, but you left that broken vase right there. And you went to the store to see what could become of it. How could I use this? You said, this produced an outcome that I didn't know that I could do. So when things break in our lives, having the perspective of, I take my hands off of it. Maybe there's something about this that I hadn't considered. Let me allow myself to grow. Or let me just roll with this for a minute and see where it's going to go. I used to tell my daughter, when she was a teenager and she was, off to college and all this and that, because she had this habit of, she would write her plan and set goals for things she wanted. And life had to go according to the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. She would plan events. She's a chef. She would plan events and serving food and things like that. It had to go according to the way she planned it. If it didn't, she was devastated. And I used to have to stand and look in her face eye to eye and say, listen, there was nothing wrong with your plan. Your plan was perfect. But you didn't leave room in your plan for life. The next time you make a plan, your step 1, step 2, step 3, step number 5, 6, or 7, make sure you write on that line, life. And you leave it open so you're not so constricted, because life will get in there and help enhance what it is you're trying to do. And to most eyes, it will look like a perfect mistake. It will look like an error. But it will turn out into something incredible. I hope you're getting this Today, attractive thinker generation and visionaries around the world, wherever you are in the world and you listen to this message, I hope you take the time to listen to it again, because you're going to capture more gems. You're going to find more gems than what you're capturing right now that will help you to grow and evolve into the person that you're designed to be, to reach your goals, to experience life in it more abundantly in a joyful, happy, easy way. Everything does not have to be hard and painful. It doesn't have to be hard and painful. Hard and painful is a perspective. Now, you said, wow, Dr. Toni, how can you say that? Yes, we experience things in life that hurt us, but they don't have to destroy us.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they hurt us, but it's the intent behind it. I can experience pain, to shed, and think that the world is against me, God is against me, nothing ever good comes my way. I could walk out here in my backyard and stub my toe and say, you know what, I knew that was going to happen. See, that right there, that pain revealed your real belief about yourself and about life. Why would you say you knew that was going to happen? How did you know that was going to? Why is your mind even going in that direction? When things happen, when we experience pain, we have these perceptions about it. Another person could stub their toe and say, ow, I'm so glad I didn't break it. They look at their toe and say, oh, thank God I didn't break it. You know, and both of y'all standing there experiencing pain, but one person took it personally. One person took it personally and didn't understand. The other person used it as power. You said that earlier, Tichet. You said, turn your pain into power. You said, take something that had the potential to destroy you, and shift your perception of it and make it count. That's what you said. That's what attractive thinkers and visionaries do with their experiences. And it comes from a place of knowing who you are. That's why you have to get your copy of The Attractive Thinker on Amazon, because it empowers you. It gives you the tools to make the shift in the perception. A lot of times you don't know how to shift your perception. I remember an attractive thinker asked me one time, they had experienced something so devastating. And they said, well, Dr. Toni, you're always talking about shifting your perception. How am I supposed to think about this? The Attractive Thinker book will give you new thoughts. I have clients, they didn't want to write a book. They didn't want to start a business. They just wanted to think a new thought. They got tired of thinking the same thoughts that they used to think for years. You need your copy of that book. It is essential that you have that, because it's a reference and it's a guide. It's a transformational experience. No matter where you are in life, no matter what page you turn to, you're going to get something that will fortify your strength, your determination, your encouragement, give you clarity. Today's episode that we posted on our my social media pages was clarity and support for the break. It gives you clarity and support for breaks like this perfect mistake we're talking about. You said, to Shet, some things about your experience, and I wrote down, you said, what if I wrote down, what if I had to break in order to have more? I think you said that. But
Mm-hmm.
that resonated with me, so I wrote that down. I thought about, what if I now when we think about it, we go back and look. You know, even in movies we watch and stories we read of our mentors and great people around the world, they had to experience a breaking in order for them to step onto greater platforms and do more and experience more and accomplish more. Something in their lives broke them. I want you to have a different perspective. When you finish listening to this message today, you will have a different perspective of the mistakes, of the things in your life that you called a mistake, of your defining moments, and of the things that broke you. Sometimes, to shed, things in our lives break us, and we live with the breaking. And that's the only way we view it, as a breaking. We don't
Mm-hmm.
see anything good that comes out of it. But this message today is shining the light so that you can see more clear, and you'll be able to see beyond the break. You'll be able to see beyond the break. And like Tasha said, once you see beyond the break, your creativity and your ideas are going to come together, and you're going to find parts and pieces of that brokenness that you'll be able to use to make something greater of your life and the lives of the people that you serve as an entrepreneur. That's the power of this story, A Perfect Mistake, because all mistakes aren't mistakes. They aren't what we, deem as mistakes. They are opportunities for greatness. They're
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to make what you're working on, make it greater. It's just not, but we call it a mistake. It'd be great if we just came up with another name for it, as attractive thinkers and visionaries. It's not a mistake. It's another open door. We could be working on a project and your vase break. You say, oh, another opportunity. Oh, this is supposed to be greater than what I was working on or what I thought it was going to be. How about that perspective? When you're going throughout life and you're sealing contracts with your with businesses and collaborating as an author and speaking and things like that, and things don't turn out the way you thought they should, you say, "Oh, a door just opened up for something greater to come into my life that I hadn't considered." That's a fantastic and amazing perspective, and it keeps you on the track of progress and success instead of you falling back to a depressive state and coming off of the path of your goals. Shifting that perspective. So attractive thinkers going forward, the next time you experience something that you have not anticipated, just pause before you even respond. Just pause and consider another perspective of the same situation. That's you opening yourself up. You're closing yourself to the devastation of it and the shame and the guilt and regret. And you're opening yourself up to the growth of the experience. Because most of our experiences, as attractive thinkers and visionaries, they're there to help us grow. And you can miss an opportunity to grow when you don't have the right perception of your situation, of the brokenness. So, Tichet, you said, what can you do with what broke you? Just want to reinforce what you were saying so attractive thinkers can grasp these concepts. These are some good things to ponder. When you were talking about people and relationships breaking and things like that, could those relationships be moving you out of the way and making room for something better and more purposeful? See, if a relationship breaks or ends, it always comes with this negative connotation. People think, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened. What are you sorry for if it's an opportunity for me to grow? What are you sorry for if it's an opportunity for both of us to grow? What are you sorry for if we weren't meant for each other?
Mm-hmm.
What are you sorry for? Now we're free to be greater people on our own. Because we all make mistakes when it comes down to relationships if we don't have the right tools for choosing relationships. So when a relationship breaks, it's not always a bad thing. It's not a mistake. It's an opportunity. It's an open door for you to be greater and choose better. I want you to think about that. So I wrote some things down as 3 questions, possibly 4, but it's 3 things, questions/things to consider when you feel like you've experienced something that was a mistake or something you haven't anticipated or something that wasn't in your plan. So, and all of this is from what you said, Tichet. Because I don't think you realize, but you were giving us a guide on how to handle so-called mistakes. You said when you broke that vase, you just went and laid down, and then your mind started going. You started asking yourself some questions. So I wrote down number 1: ask yourself some pertinent questions. Don't sit there cussing and fussing and crying and acting crazy. Ask yourself some. Well, let's say after you do that, because it's normal. We get disappointed, we're upset, but ask yourself some pertinent questions, because I've learned that so much is not the answers that we're seeking, but how powerful the questions are that we're asking.
Absolutely.
Everybody's crazy about getting an answer, but are you asking the right question?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. So ask yourself some pertinent questions. Get the right perspective. The Attractive Thinker book will help you shift your perspective, okay? Get the right perspective, because most of the time, the default perspective is not healthy. It's not healthy to think that way. You're a loser. I knew nothing good was ever going to come my way. When it rains, it pours. I don't know why I started this project anyway. That is not the right perspective. It's not going to get you anywhere. Encourage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage yourself, just as you would if your child came in the room with a broken vase and they were so disappointed because they had all of these wonderful ideas for this vase. You would get up. You would say, oh my God, honey, are you hurt? Did you get cut? That's the first one. And then you would go in the room and you would see how you could put it back together. And if you couldn't put it back together, you would show them how they can use what's left. how they can create something grander from what's left. And then you would encourage them. It's okay. We all make mistakes. And then you start sharing stories about your mistakes. What are you doing? You're trying to empower and encourage the child. So we have to do that to ourselves. Encourage. Plenty of times I find myself saying, it's okay, Toni. You did good. It's okay. Something grander will become of it. You know how life works. I talk to myself like that. I say, girl, you know how life works. Something better is going to result from it. And you get to, when you get to that stage, you're on the up and up now. Nothing is going to be able to stop you, attractive thinker. You say, Tichet, we can't sit in it. Don't waste time in disappointment. That was a big one for me over the years, because after I figured out how life flowed up and down and all around and things come and go and stuff like that, I realized the time that I was sitting in regret was a waste of time, because I knew my life would come back up again and I was going to be smiling and encouraging others again. So why sit here in this regret and the shame and waste my time? I would own it, that space, because I own myself as a human being, but I wouldn't linger there too long. When I say own that space, yes, I cried. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I asked myself some pertinent questions, but I wasn't, you're not going to take weeks and months and years out of my life over this one experience. I'm going to have to get over this quick. And the Attractive Thinker book will give you the tools to get over it and get through it. You said, possibly, this could be possibly number 4. I wrote this one down. Allow a space for your emotions to be expressed. And that's what I was saying a minute ago, the one prior to that. You're human. You're not gonna be joyful and bulldoze your way through every disappointing experience. But because of the perspective, the attractive thinker perspective that you have, you'll get through it quicker and in a more healthy way. You don't have to turn to coping mechanisms just because something happened that was you didn't anticipate it, unexpected. You don't have to turn, because when we turn to unhealthy, in the Attractive Thinker book, there's a chapter in there on coping mechanisms and what we do to cope and how, the tools there for that. But when you experience a disappointment or something that catches you, off guard, turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms, as an attractive thinker, when you come, your energy comes back up. Now you got to deal with the effects of the unhealthy coping mechanisms. When you could be using that energy to restart, get back on your grind, on the path, on your project. So I give you a lot of resources for healthy coping mechanisms when life catches you off guard in the book. And speaking of the Attractive Thinker book, make sure after you listen to this message, turn to page 451. It's entitled Broken with a Purpose. That's going to tie all of this together and reinforce this message that we're talking about today. Page 451, Broken with a Purpose. Attractive thinkers and visionaries, I want to encourage you. I trust this message has inspired you with Tichet sharing her phenomenal story about the broken vase. And viewing it, see, that was her perception. She viewed it as a perfect mistake. After she went through all of the human aspects and feelings and emotions about it, she got up and she took action, and she found other things that would enhance the thing that she was doing. And it turned out fantastic and amazing. I want to encourage you. I don't care what it is that you're deeming as a mistake. It doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't matter what it is. It wasn't just a mistake. Shift your perception of it and see what else you see, because there are other things to see beyond the break. If all you're looking at is the break, then you can't see beyond the break. You're missing all the treasure beyond the break. There is another life beyond the break. There are other opportunities for you beyond this break. You can't give up at this break. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. Not for an attractive thinker like me, for an attractive thinker like you, or a visionary like you. You know that doesn't work for us. I don't even have to get into it. You know that doesn't work for us, because there's something inside of us that won't quit. We cannot quit. So you might as well grasp the correct perception and get up and get back to what you were doing. Get back to being great. Get back to enjoying your life and creating the best life. Get back to serving others like you do. Because you are broken with a purpose. Page 451. Read it. Read it. Tichet, give us some lasting comments and tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. Dr. Toni, in the beginning of your segment, you asked me to tell the attractive thinkers and the visionaries the definition of mistake. So I really want to read that because
Yes.
this this was something else. And I when I read this definition, everyone, I would like for you to think about in life where this fits.
Mm.
Right? Because remember, when we're listening to the message, we're not just listening from one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening from multiple perspectives. I want you to think about what mistake you made in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to get an idea or think about how you can make that mistake and take that mistake and turn it into power.
Mm.
How can you make that mistake count? Okay, so I'm just going to go over some things and you see where this fits. Where have you made a perfect mistake? That's the point of it all, is to see that somewhere in the break was a perfect mistake. Okay. The definition of mistake is to make a mistake or be incorrect, to make or form amiss, to spoil in the making. Right? One of the ones that I looked, it said a wrong action attributable to bad judgment or ignorance or intention. An understanding of something that is not correct. Right? Identify incorrectly. Remember, we talk about identity a lot because the identity that you have on yourself is important. It's important that when you make a mistake that you had a right identity. So when I broke the vase, I didn't misidentify myself by somebody who wasn't going to make something. I knew I was going to make something. I just had to find a way how. Again, like you said, Dr. Toni, determination, right? And that determination is something else. What you say to yourself in the midst of the break is what makes the biggest difference in the world. So I want you guys to remember that. Another thing is an apprehending wrongly, a misconception, a misunderstanding, a fault in opinion or judgment, an intentional error of conduct, right? And then I wanted to share some of the synonyms because sometimes we take these definitions for granted, right?
That's
so true. Error, these are synonyms: error, a blunder, a fault, slip, an oversight, a misunderstanding, a misconception, misconstrued, inaccuracy, a slip up, miscalculation.
That's a good one.
So sometimes we're beating ourselves up over a miscalculation. That's pretty harsh because it's not. It is possible sometimes to miscalculate some steps.
Yes.
Right. When you miscalculate a step, a goal, anything, when you miscalculate it, you don't want to beat yourself up. You want to get the correct calculation. You want to start correcting the habits. You want to start correcting the mindset, the perception immediately, right? You want to get back on your horse, in other words. So what type of mistakes have you made that you can look back now in your present life and say, had I not made that mistake, I wouldn't be as strong as I am now. I wouldn't have the purpose I have now. I wouldn't be exposed to who I am now, right? Because when we talk about when you go through the break, it exposes some things. It exposes you to you. It exposes what you believe. It might expose some new desires you want. It might expose some new talents, some new gift. You had a mistake, so you had to find an answer. Now you have an answer that everybody can use that would not have come had you not made that mistake.
That's right.
You know how many items in products that we use every day that came from people's mistakes?
Mm, mm,
How
mm,
many items? I want you guys to look that up because I remember the guy who made potato chips, if I remember correctly, potato chips was a mistake. It was the perfect mistake. How many of people are enjoying potato chips? There's so many things that we use on an everyday basis that are a perfect mistake.
mhm,
So when you find something as a perfect mistake, I want you to keep that thing in your memory. So the next time you make a mistake, you're reminded that there's a such thing as a perfect mistake. Because this type of stuff they don't teach everywhere. That
mm,
there's a such thing as a perfect mistake. That seemed like an oxymoron to me, right? Where it kind of goes against each other. It's either perfect or it's a mistake. It can't be a perfect mistake.
mhm,
But
mhm.
when you add another perception to it, it changed the definition.
Yes, yes.
It changes the definition. One
Mhm,
of the things, too, Dr. Tony, you talked about you talked about the negative, what we say to ourselves in the midst of the mistake, right? What we say to ourselves, that negative self-talk that you brought up, the this why this had to happen, I knew this was gonna happen. I'm not good for nothing. That negative self-talk will either fuel you or stop you, right? Your perception of a thing is what determines whether or not this mistake is just a mistake
mm,
or a perfect mistake.
mhm,
Your perception. That's all you need is the
mhm,
proper perception. If you have the proper perception of something, you can turn any pain into power.
mhm,
There are some people out here who did so. There's some people out here who went through what you went through and they made it out with power and they
mhm,
did something with it. And not only did they find an answer for themselves, they found an answer for everybody who makes that mistake afterwards, or they prevented a whole mass of people from making the same mistake. That's
mm,
how you turn that pain into power. You
mm,
don't just become another sob story.
mhm,
That's what we're not. We're not sob stories. We're not losers. You know, we are powerful people.
mhm,
Took on physical human experience in order to build a purposeful life, to enjoy what the creator created,
mhm,
right? To maneuver through life, to enjoy all the many opportunities that are out there. And sometimes, Dr. Tony, it is possible that when you make a mistake, you feel like that mistake caused the missed opportunity. Well, if I would have never said this, then he would have never left. Or if I would have
mhm,
said this, then I would have had this job. Or if and I remember Dr. Tony having that with trading a lot when I was doing trading in the stock market. Um,
mhm,
I like trading more options now than stocks, but I learned so much with stocks, right?
mhm,
So, and I was a momentum trader at the time. And as a momentum trader, you're kind of like you're not in for a long period of time. So I would usually be in a market within maybe about 10, 15 minutes, if that. Sometimes it'd be just maybe 5 minutes. I would be in, get the goods, and get out, right? But sometimes I would miss what I would call the train.
mhm,
You feel in your spirit that this is the right one. You have all the analysis and everything you need that lines up with the right one, but you second guessed yourself
mm,
and you didn't get in, and then you feel like it went up and left you. And
mm,
you say, okay, if I would have gotten into that, then I would have made millions and I would have had this and I wouldn't have had this problem. And you felt like you made a huge mistake because you didn't get in what you thought would solve your problem. That wasn't meant to solve your problem.
mm,
Right? Your perception will solve your problem.
mm.
And so when you make mistakes like that, what you say to yourself in the midst of that is what matters the most. That negative
Yes.
self-talk is not will stifle you. That negative self-talk has never helped anybody.
Mm,
Because remember, the universe is gonna mirror you and gonna show you that what you believe is true. Whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, you're right. Because you'll look for what you believe. So
Mm-mm.
let's try to believe something different. Let's try to believe in the power. Let's try to believe that pain can actually turn into power. Let's try to believe that the mistake can actually turn into something completely perfect. Let's try to believe that some of the flaws we have is perfectly placed. You know what I mean? Like there's so many ways you can view mistakes. But one thing that we want to make sure we have in the midst of mistakes is the proper perception. And that's to allow all things work together for the good and and allow ourselves to continue to see that through for the purpose for which you came here. And so that's one of the things I wanted to say. Oh, another thing, Dr. Toni, what you were talking about, you were talking about if you stub your toe, right? And you said you have one person who will stub the toe and feel sorry and negative self-talk. You have another person that might, would you say that might um look at it and say, oh, it make it a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: there's a third type of person in that person that is so determined to create a life that they forget they stub their toe because they don't have time to stop. So
Mm-hmm.
they go sit there, stub their toe, and keep going, breathing it out. And then you know how that person the next day be like, how did I hurt my toe? Why is my toe hurting? Because they forgot how they hurt it, because they were so determined to do whatever it is they're going to do. That's the determination we need to have,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's determination that make you skip the pain no matter what happens. You skip it because you're so determined into going. You're not going to let nothing stop you. You're not going to let a little job fire you from being wealthy. You're not going to let a little breakup stop you from being loved. You're not going to, you're
Mm-hmm.
just not going to let those things, that pain stop you, right? So you go in there and something happens, you stub a toe, and because of your determination, you were able to complete whatever you wanted to complete despite having a stub toe. You'll deal with the pain later. But me not doing this is not an option. That's the third type of person. So which one are you? Are
Mm-hmm.
you the one, visionary, attractive thinker? Are you the type of person who will turn a mistake into pain, where you sit there and you say, okay, I'm a loser. You know, you feel like you deserve this. This is why nothing works for you. Or are you a person that stub a toe and say, or make a mistake and say, yeah, I got to make this work for something?
Mm.
Or are you another person that might not have all the answers and will keep going with determination and figure out what all that was for later on, right? Because either way, living beyond the break is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what we're trying to say is allow your breaks in life to
Mm.
be a perfect mistake and not allow yourself to live stale, stagnant, and stuck. We don't deserve to live stale, stagnant, and stuck. That is a limitation to keep being mediocre and mundane. Rather you think it's good or not, let's go for great. So you allow the break to be your perfect mistake. Find a way
Mm.
to turn it into power. Find a way to make it count. If it hurt, it has to count.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can, but you got to know it can count. That's the one thing some people miss, is they feel like they have to deal with the cards that's dealt. And I guess these are cards that's dealt, so I just had to deal with them. You know, my family had this and I had this, so I just had to deal with it. No, you don't. Turn that whole hand in. Flip the other card over, turn it in. You do
Mm.
not have to deal with the cards you are dealt. Turn it in if you don't like what you're dealt.
Wow.
How many times in a poker game they do that? Yeah,
Wow.
they turn the whole hand in. I'm not doing that. If
Yeah.
I don't like it, it ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how you feel about a thing matters.
Yes. Yeah.
So I hope this resonated with you guys. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Let us know, and if you are open to share, let us know what your perfect mistake is. A lot of people can benefit from a mistake that you made and you turned it into power. Leave that comment. We love to see it. Don't forget to go to our Instagram, Beyond the Break 2020, as well. Leave your comments on there if you will as well. Don't forget to visit me on Diamond Mind of DIY to see that perfect mistake that perfect mistake, along with a whole bunch of other processes and perfect mistakes that I have done. You can also find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. Live out that perfect mistake. Go to my blog. Enjoy the stories that I have on my blog, because these stories describe exactly what we talked about here, the perfect mistake. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. So fantastic and amazing. Tichet, you said a lot of people can benefit from the mistakes you made. When we go back and look at what we call a mistake, we can find something there that we can use that will illuminate our lives and the lives of others. While you were talking, I was looking up, researching some information about mistakes that became famous. Penicillin is one of them, Tichet. Fleming noticed that a contaminated petri dish he had discarded contained a mold that was dissolving all the bacteria around it. When he grew the mold by itself, he learned that it contained a powerful antibiotic, penicillin. That's how he discovered it. He didn't go out and intend to discover penicillin. He discovered it as he went. Chocolate chip cookies. While making a batch of cookies, Wakefield discovered that she was out of baker's chocolate. As a substitute, she broke sweetened chocolate into small pieces and added them to the cookie dough. She expected the chocolate to melt, meaning to break down, making chocolate cookies, but the little bits stuck together and they became chips.
Wow.
And you were right about the potato chips. One day a customer sent back his plate of potatoes many times and kept asking for them to be more fried and thinner. Crum lost his temperature, sliced the potatoes insanely thin, and fried them. Now he was mad.
Yeah.
Lost his temper. Went back there slicing potatoes extremely thin. It says insanely thin, and fried them until they were hard as a rock. To the chef's surprise, the customer loved them and wanted more. Something that he deemed as a negative because he was mad. That energy, he used that energy and created something that people enjoy on a daily basis around the world. The pacemaker, during his experiment, he realized if a heart stopped beating due to cooling, it could be restarted again by artificial stimulation. And this realization led to the pacemaker. Silly putty. You remember silly putty?
Yeah.
I used to like that. During a test on silicone oil, Wright added boric acid to the substance. The result was a gooey mess that bounced. Although no one could find any real use for it, it became a fun toy. Microwave ovens, saccharin. The list goes on and on. You can Google it. How people took their mistakes, took what they deemed a mistake, and used it and served the world with it. And it's been popular and famous for years, for generations. A common mistake in the kitchen or in the lab. A common mistake when you're sitting there trying to put something together. So as attractive thinkers and visionaries, we understand that there are no mistakes, just opportunities for something grander to become of your original idea. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist. Visit the attractivethinker.guru. We have a lot of goodies there for you. Place your contact information on the page. Get on our mailing list. I send out a newsletter weekly so that you can get these Beyond the Break resources and the Attractive Thinker community resources. We always say, because we have you in mind, that our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through. It's how you're viewing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.